Market's looking for certainty. What do I mean by that? Well, simply put, they're looking for the central banks to provide us with some certainty with respect to interest rates. How much higher can interest rates go? How many more times can central banks raise their rates, the bank rate, the Bank of Canada rate, and therefore, obviously, prime rate goes up with it. We've already seen mortgages, especially in the US, getting close to the 8% mark. Here in Canada, if you're looking to get a mortgage, perhaps you get a bit of a discount, maybe prime minus a certain figure, but there are many people that on a variable rate mortgage right now are paying in the 6 to 7% range. We know that many people on fixed rates, a lot of those fixed rates, or the majority of them, will come due for renewal by 2026. So they're going to experience, a much higher mortgage rate when their mortgages come up for renewal. So what certainty am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for the banks, or the central banks, I should say, to come out and tell us, this is it. We're raising one more time and we're done. Or we're not raising for the foreseeable future. And I think once we get that, I think markets will gain some traction. And I have a chart here we can look at, and it just shows us the federal funds rate increasing since 2022. You can see really the only certainty that we had over the last little while, last year or so, has been that the central bank, Federal Reserve, is raising rates. And just in the last few meetings, you'll notice the June meeting, the September meeting, there were no rate hikes there, which is a good sign. So the question is, will there be another rate hike come the beginning of November, end of October? And right now, I think the odds for the Fed to raise rates are somewhere around 35-40%. I wish they were lower, but unfortunately not. There's been some conversations from Fed governors that that they will raise rates one more time. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the data tells us. I think we had some strong data just yesterday. The JOLTS, which are job openings in the US, was high, which we don't want to see. But we saw some data come out today, which kind of told us the opposite, some softer data, macro data in the US. So overall, it's going to be an up and down sort of thing. Like Brian said in our interview earlier, I think it's going to be a bit of a choppy market. But I still believe that if we can get some certainty with rates, which has been the biggest issue for the markets at this point in time, I think these markets can gain some traction, and especially some of the interest rate sensitive parts of the stock market, I think those sectors can move higher.